Hi, everyone. Thank you so much. You have to forgive me. I came in at 3 in the morning. I've had 6 coffees, and I'm bouncing off the walls. But I will try and keep this short. I really want you to help me direct this in any specific space. I'm firstly to understand that there are a lot of startups and product startups and design-focused product startups over here. So I'd love to address some of these thoughts. I'm a big believer that the world needs discovery, not search. I'm a big believer that we're a visual world. So I'm going to share my ideas very quickly in the next 15 minutes, and I'm going to open this up to deep dive in any direction that you wish. And I'll keep it authentic. If I don't know, I'll just say, I don't know. So thank you so much. So the first thing I want to tell you is the one thing that fish know nothing about is water, because they're immersed in it. And I believe this is a perfect segue. Sorry. This is what happens just when... I think it'll be fine. Yeah. So I think that we are immersed in media. And like the fish, we have no idea what it feels like to not be in media. Not only have we entered the digital age, the bloody digital age has entered us. The way we think, the way we make love, and the way we act has fundamentally changed. This is because of two things. One, we're exposed to completely different, disparate realities from our own. And two, we've started recording our lives and adding to this media heap. But here's the tricky thing about media. Every media began by telling the truth, by representing reality. But it only matured after it stopped telling the truth. Every media matured after it was renounced of the burden of telling the truth. Look at film, painting, writing, photography. All of them began representing reality and matured after they transcended. Then why, if reality is only a reference point in the lives we live, in the way we record our lives, then tell me, why is it that we open the New York Times or the Times of India? I don't know about Times of India, but why is it that we open one of these papers and look at what's happening in Afghanistan, in Syria, in Yemen? Why is it that we're looking at the photograph as a unit of truth? I think that's a problem. I think we need to mature the photograph. Here's a hypothesis. Bear with me. Earlier, you had God as the ultimate witness. God was replaced by the eyewitness, who was then replaced by the camera. And nothing has come to replace the camera in telling us the truth. But can the photograph ever tell the truth? We need to think about this a little bit before we dive into visual intelligence. This is one of the most famous photos in American history. It's a photo of this Viet Cong prisoner being shot. And the photographer says that he actually killed the general with his camera. This sparked an entire movement. Little do we know that that innocent guy actually had massacred a whole bunch of people. We know nothing about the truth. And so this is another perfect example. Can everyone see? Should I move back? Are you okay? You guys okay? Okay. So this is another photo that was taken just during 9/11. It turns out it was completely manufactured, but the naked eye cannot tell. But here is a very sad story of a child sleeping next to his dead parents. This went viral and actually created a lot of response among charities. But little do we know that it's actually an art project that has nothing to do with Syria. So can the bloody photograph tell the truth? Not only are we living, not only are we recording our lives, we're also living the lives to record. So in this, and I'm not perfectly innocent. My Facebook is full of me being a perfect dad. Don't ask my wife and kids about that. I'm saying the photograph is not a unit of truth. It's a point of view. And only when we say that the filter is not sepia or 1977, it's you. You are the filter. So speaking of you, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. I love attention, as you can see. And I'm going to indulge me. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my family and then about my politics. Just when you start liking me, I will attack. So just beware. So this is my art. I began my career as a cartoonist, and I think I'm one of the luckiest people on earth because I quit formal education to become a cartoonist, and I started painting when I was really young. I was tucked into bed with these physics books. I don't know if you recognize any of them. They are meant to tell you you know nothing about physics. They're Russian books. But my dad was a philosophical dude, you know. He looked at us and he said, when you're studying physics, you know, distance versus time, he said, when you look at that graph, don't tell me the velocity, the acceleration, all that crap. Tell me, why did that driver suddenly speed up and stop? Was he drunk? Did he see a beautiful girl? Tell me the story of the graph. Tell me the story. A data is not just numbers and plotted. It means something. It's a story. So first thing, data is full of stories. The second thing, I went to my dad when I was 17, and I said, Pa, you know, I asked him, what is the purpose of education? He was having his whiskey, his favorite black label, and then I said, what's the purpose of education? He said, Industrial Revolution has hijacked your education. He says, your textbooks are shit. And he said, the purpose of education, and he listed this beautifully, he said, it's about learning how to learn, it's about discipline, it's about working hard, citizenship, all of these beautiful things. I listened very carefully to him, and I said, that's fantastic. I went back to him a couple of weeks later and said, Pa, I'm going to do all of these beautiful things. Can I quit school then? Why the hell should I go to school if I'm going to do all of this? And he actually was very emotional, came to hug me, but he stopped when I said, can I quit school? I quit school, became a cartoonist, and I started looking at humor as a very important way of communicating truth. I also started looking at stories, and I wanted to learn creativity. And the best people to learn creativity from are kids. They can connect anything with anything. So this is a video about how I paint. Have any of you seen my TED Talks? Not many, so shall I show you this very quickly? This is how I started painting. I did not know how to paint, so I used to use my hands and feet and paint. Try using a brush, it's one of the toughest things to paint. You have to excuse me, this is about almost 20 years ago. I'd fallen in love with this beautiful girl, and I just had to make a larger-than-life ode to her. Thank you. Oops. Who is that? That's Netra. That's, thank God I'm married to her, I can say that. No. One second, I'm trying to go to the next slide. There she is. But the one thing you don't realize is you kiss a girl, before you know it, you have a pile of kids on top of you. And I'm happy to say I just had my 4th baby 2 months ago. Yes, I'm a prolific artist. I had a very successful career. I was very happy. I went from, what more can I ask for? Quit formal education, met this beautiful girl, and if any guy who marries up, that's success, right? You have this beautiful girl, you have kids, and I was successful. I was making over $1 million when I was 21. Nothing could be better. But something really sad happened. My mother fell very sick, and all of a sudden, this exuberance died. It just died. And my works turned really dark. You can see the difference. It became about pain. I was feeling it in my gut, and nobody wanted to buy my work. I had the who's who buying my work before that. And I was known for being known, but now nobody wanted to know me. The good news is my mother is fine now. But I went to America in 2008 to begin my career again. And I questioned, what makes me successful? Is it the money that I make from my art? Is it the attention I get from celebrities? Is it my own impulse to indulge, to masturbate in the art world? Or is it the way I think? Excuse my language. I got invited to give a TED talk, and for the first time, I was invited there because they liked the way I looked at the world, not because I painted beautiful pictures. And I got a chance to collaborate with some of the smartest people on planet Earth. I think I went in through the back door and I shook up TED because I took advantage of every opportunity. I worked with neuroscientists, with behavioral economists, with politicians, with this musician called Paul Simon. We did this entire show called So Beautiful or So What, talking about the politics of aesthetics. And for the first time, I shared with the world the way I see the world. Let me give you one example of how I see things a little differently. Most people when you look at life, you think you go from, you're born and you die there. But that's not the truth. You don't change. Your point of reference never changes. The future moves backwards towards you. And I'll tell you the fundamental difference in these 2 points of view. One tells me that there's a deterministic path that I go and have to follow. The other tells me I can curate who I am and what I become. And I think those two are the same story, 2 different perspectives, 2 different emotional impacts. So I collaborated with a lot of people. I'm going to skip through some of these slides, but I worked with noise cancellation data scientists. I created neuro art that responds to your brain waves. And a lot of this, some of it was gimmicky because it was not refined. Some of it was pure exploration, but I had a good time. But I want to come to the crux of why I'm here talking to you today. What the hell am I doing in Silicon Valley? What is an artist doing in that deterministic world of engineers? Here's the answer. If 80% of our brains are visual, why is 80% of knowledge verbal? The internet is very impressive. It's 25 years old. It's got 1 billion websites that document who we are. But the true documents of our time are the 4.7 trillion photos right now in the last 4 years. If we connect these photos in a meaningful way, we could build a visual internet. But before we jump the gun, let's understand the fundamental difference between the semantic web and a visual web. The fundamental difference is, unlike words, pictures mean different things to different people. They are multivalent. Okay? And in the art world, we say the visual has 2 components, the window and the mirror. The window tells me what's in a photograph, and Google has been very good at doing that. They look at a photo, look at pixel information, and they create these topical graphs, and they can actually tell you there's a cow, there's a beach, there's a bikini, there's a dog, whatever you want to see. But there is, see, they look at that picture, they can say that's Neil Armstrong. But what they cannot tell you is how people attribute meaning to a photo, which is how visuals function fundamentally. And I'm saying we need to evolve the web to this stage, where we understand emotional intelligence. And here's the problem. So I started a company 2 years ago, put some of the smartest people I know on planet Earth, literally in the visual space. And I built 7 applications very quickly to build an underlying philosophy on understanding visual discovery. I don't think visual discovery exists. And I want to share with you a little bit about what I've learned over the last couple of years. Firstly, people don't know how they attribute meaning to a photo. If you look at Instagram, you see people adding hashtags to photos. You see people adding the Tinder like, dislike. These are very high cognitive functions. You are asking people to tell you what they think. But people mostly don't even know how they feel or how they think. How do you understand that behavior and solve visual discovery? And that is what I'm passionate about. So we had to build visual interfaces that actually do that. Without bias. Now, we are all bloody biased. But I can promise to bias them with as many perspectives as possible. And so the way I do that is, when my kids were very young, I started experimenting on them. They're the startups. Hopefully they don't fail fast. But they're my startups too. One of the things I did is I never taught them concept-based visual learning. I never told them what a circle was. I never told them what a square is. I showed them pictures of circular things, circular formations, circles in the negative space, and had them infer from that exposure the concept of circular. And so that's where my journey starts in building knowledge systems that are visual. And today we have built the first prototype for a visual discovery system, whether you're doing personal media, news, e-commerce, mobile commerce. We wanted to build the first intelligence based on intent. And I can tell you more about that if you want to. So thank you for indulging me, and it's been a pleasure to share my journey with you. Tell me where, if you have a question, I want to open this up. Thank you so much.